You do not stand in my station in front of my officers and set terms.
You can fight for the money.
May I at least see my cousin?
At the beginning of the story, Terry Richmond, a reserved former Marine trained in the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, MCMAP, is riding his bicycle along a quiet rural road toward Shelby Springs, Louisiana. Heavy metal music blares through his earbuds, muting the outside world as he carries a messenger bag with $36,000 in cash. The money is meant partly for his cousin Mike Simmons' bail and partly for the purchase of a used pickup truck. As he rides, a police cruiser approaches from behind. Without warning, the vehicle swerves into his path and strikes his bike, sending him crashing to the ground. Officers Evan Marston and Lan step out with calculated authority. They handcuff Terry immediately, claiming he matches the description of a bike theft suspect, because apparently in Shelby Springs, owning a bike is probable cause, and fashion crimes include wearing a helmet.
Lit him up, he tore ass.
If you're saying I fled, that's bullshit. I couldn't hear.
All right, I tried to pull you over, and you fled. Now, come on, get up. And I'm gonna check your backpack for any weapons.
You can't do that.
When they search his bag, they find the cash. Terry calmly explains its purpose, and even offers documentation, including a pawn shop receipt for the bike, to prove it is legitimate.
The cash is legit. I sold my car, I cashed out my stake in the rest.
Or I have you on felony evasion and conspiracy.
Marston inspects the money while Lan watches closely. Citing civil asset forfeiture laws, they declare it will be seized on suspicion of being tied to illegal activity. Terry protests firmly, but the officers refuse to return it.
I'm bailing out my cousin and buying a truck.
And you and your drug dealer cousin sell it the next day for cash.
With no arrest or charges, they take the cash, return to their cruiser, and drive away, leaving Terry stranded on the roadside beside his damaged bike. His controlled anger masks the discipline of a trained Marine, but the resolve in his eyes makes it clear this injustice will not go unanswered, though right now, the only thing more dented than his bike is his faith in small-town law enforcement. Bruised and determined, Terry cycles to the Shelby Springs Courthouse and approaches Elliot, a jaded clerk, who dismisses his plea for help in reclaiming the seized funds. Elliot cites endless paperwork and legal hurdles, making the process seem insurmountable.
Why would you assume that?
It's just a guess. You've come to post bail without any money?
It was the cops. They took my cash, all of it. I was on my way here.
Overhearing the conversation, Summer McBride, a fellow clerk and recovering addict, steps in, her empathy sharply contrasting Elliot's apathy. Over coffee, Summer explains the grim reality of civil asset forfeiture. Police can seize property without pressing charges,
Versus $36,000. Because your property has no civil rights.
But you can help me get it back.
No.
Right, so never mind the share it with your members due process.
You won't even be named. It's literally gonna read.
and contesting such seizures can take months, or even years. She reveals that Shelby Springs Police Department, led by Chief Sandy Byrne, exploits this system to fund their operations amid budget cuts, stemming from a prior lawsuit over police brutality. Terry shares the dire situation of his cousin Mike, who is incarcerated for misdemeanor possession and faces an urgent need for bail. Moved by Terry's quiet desperation, Summer promises to expedite Mike's bail paperwork if Terry can secure $10,000 by Thursday. Realizing time is critical, Terry calls his business partner, Lou, requesting the $10,000. Lou agrees and urges him to call when he needs it exactly. The next morning, Terry walks into the Shelby Springs police station to report the assault and theft from the previous day. While describing the incident to Officer Jessica, his details make it clear that the officers he's accusing are from her department. Concerned, Jess pauses and calls over Steve Lan, one of the two officers who assaulted him. Steve warns Terry to leave, but Terry insists he needs his money back. Before the exchange escalates,
We can pick this up right where we left off.
What's the charge for being rammed off the road, having your shit stolen, and threatened with a taser?
Chief Sandy Byrne steps in and warns Terry that making false accusations against police officers is a felony. He urges Terry to leave the station, but Terry refuses, explaining that he needs to see his cousin and that, unless he gets his money back, he will turn the station into his second home.
We don't have one here, but there's a form that you can sign to disclaim that currency. But right now, you're facing felony charges if you persist in harassing my officer. Allow me to finish.
To prove the cash was legitimate, Terry presents paperwork showing the truck he intends to buy with the funds. Byrne instructs Jess to make a Xerox copy, then explains that the department cannot return the cash directly. Terry would have to contest the forfeiture in court.
What if I didn't fight it? What if all I wanted was the 10 for bail, you keep $26K, and I disappear? May I at least see my cousin?
You can fuck right
I
off.
would love to, sir, just as soon as I get my money back.
In response, Terry offers a compromise that they can keep $26,000 if they give him $10,000 to bail out his cousin. Byrne doesn't commit to the deal,
Fully account for the money, where it was from, and what it was for.
but tells Terry to return on Monday at 9 a.m. before the prison bus transfers Mike to the correctional facility, assuring him that he'll be able to see his cousin and put things to bed. Monday dawns, and Terry arrives at the police station, expecting Chief Byrne to honor their deal. Instead, he's met with smug dismissal. The prison bus carrying Mike left 3 minutes early. Fury ignites, but Terry channels it.
You're 3 minutes late.
You said I could see him.
Racing after the bus on his new bike, he pedals hard, catching up to the bus. Locking eyes with Mike through the barred window, he shouts a promise to get him bailed out. Moments later, Terry calls Lou for the $10,000. Lou reveals that the Shelby Springs police have raided his home and confiscated his safe, and that Terry's name has surfaced in a statement implicating Lou's business. Though disappointed, Terry remains determined to fix the mess. He rushes to Summer and tells her the police are messing with him. Fearful for her job, Summer confides that she's uncovered suspicious details about Mike's case and warns that if they don't secure the bail money quickly, Mike's situation could worsen dramatically. Pushed past patience, Terry's marine instincts kick in. Meanwhile, Chief Byrne, curious about Terry's confidence and wary of his persistence, urges Officer Jess Sims to dig into Terry's background. Just as Jess begins her search, Terry arrives at the station. Unaware of Terry's true skills, Byrne approaches with a smug, dismissive attitude, assuming Terry poses no real threat. But before Jess can fully uncover Terry's Marine Corps martial arts program training,
Well, see, that's a courtesy I extend only so far.
In fact, it was more than fair as far as the trouble it would say. You don't see.
Terry springs into action. Using precise MCMAP techniques, swift joint locks, and pressure point control, he disarms Byrne and Lan with stunning efficiency.
Lead the way. Whoa, 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 whoa! Go! Don't shoot. Move the fuck away from me. Okay, okay.
Neutralizing them without lethal force, Jessica, startled and unsure, hesitates, but complies when Terry demands access to the property room. Inside, Terry discovers piles of seized cash and non-lethal weapons, evidence of the department's corrupt profiteering. Honoring his word, he takes only $10,000, leaving the rest untouched to avoid turning the situation into outright theft. To slip past the SWAT team waiting outside, he exits the station disguised as if he's under arrest, avoiding further confrontation. From there, Terry sprints to the courthouse, where Summer, risking her job, processes the $10,000 bail with trembling hands. A few minutes later, sirens blare, and a swarm of police cruisers, led by Lan and Marston, surround him. Before he can react, Terry is tased and loses consciousness. Though honestly, with how much voltage they pumped into him, the real crime was not charging his phone while they were at it. He wakes up stabilized in a holding area called the Catacombs. Marston drives him toward an unknown destination. Confused, Terry asks where they are headed. Before they arrive, Chief Byrne speaks, explaining that none of this would have happened if he had known who Terry was.
That's the new thing, de-escalation. Out of 6 towns, we're the last in the parish with our own force. Got us doing that.
He insists that every dollar Terry saw in the evidence room was legally seized, and that those funds make up the department's operating budget for the next 2 quarters. After a long drive, they reach Samaritan Hospital Center. There, Chief Byrne hands over the remaining $26,000 to Terry, along with proof that he has purchased the truck. Still bewildered, Terry asks why they are at the hospital. Byrne grimly reveals that Mike has been attacked and stabbed and will soon be brought to Samaritan. Shortly after, military personnel arrive carrying Mike's body. Chief Byrne and Marston leave silently, leaving Terry to process the devastating news. At the hospital, Terry learns that Mike has succumbed to his injuries. The news leaves him numb and silent. Later, while driving, Summer offers for Terry to stay at her place, but he declines, needing space to process. Again, Summer presses and pleads with Terry.
I just wanted Mike not dead. Yeah, here we are.
No more, no less, waiting to be arraigned on charges
To help expose the deep-rooted corruption in Shelby Springs, pointing to her discoveries about the suspicious 90-day holds on defendants. This isn't just about Mike anymore, she insists. Still reeling from his loss, Terry refuses, desperate to escape the town's toxic grip. Frustrated, he tells Summer to drop him off at the next bus stop. Before leaving that evening, Terry pauses long enough to write down his contact information in a small notebook, pressing it into Summer's hands. If anything happens, he says quietly, call me. With that, they part ways, each carrying the weight of what's to come. Late at night, Summer wakes feeling uneasy and soon realizes she's been injected with an unknown substance while asleep. Panicked, she calls Terry. Who is miles away, warning him that she's in trouble. Without hesitation, Terry turns around and races back to her apartment. Where he finds her semi-conscious in the jacuzzi. The next morning, Terry urges Summer to leave town and seek medical treatment before the drug takes full effect. But due to her history of addiction, Summer resists. She fears that a hospital visit would trigger a court report, putting her custody of her daughter and her freedom at risk. Terry, cynical about the legal system, suggests that many lawyers struggle with addiction, yet aren't judged as harshly.
I'll back off. Show up to work like nothing happened.
I was just gonna say that blows.
Summer counters that her case is different, tainted by moral turpitude. She recounts how she once pawned her father-in-law's ride-on mower, forgetting it had a snowblower attachment. That mistake escalated her charge from petty theft to grand theft. Although the judge showed leniency and sealed the case,
Figured however things turned out, I'd never not be able to defend myself. Made a pretty solid case.
Hey, come on now.
Summer agreed to work for the court as restitution. With few options left, Summer decides to return to work and act as if nothing happened, determined to hold her life together despite the risks. But when she arrives at court the next day, the judge orders her to undergo a drug test. Knowing she was drugged, Summer breaks down in the lab, realizing this time there's no way to prove her innocence. Driving out of town, Terry's truck is flagged down by Lan, who feigns a routine check. Without activating his dash cam, Lan plants a gun inside the vehicle and then opens fire, grazing Terry's shoulder. Instinctively, Terry uses his combat skills to disarm Lan, flipping him over and tasing him. Seizing the moment, he speeds away through a shortcut just before other officers arrive, their gunfire rattling his truck as he escapes, wounded but alive. Afterward, Terry finds a safe spot under a ridge, where he abandons the truck. He immediately contacts Summer, instructing her to meet him at Liu's restaurant. That evening at Liu's, Terry is patched up by Liu, a former field medic who served in Korea. Summer, recently fired from her job, arrives and is shocked to learn Terry was shot. Without wasting a moment, she shares her discovery. Jail times for defendants in Shelby Springs are being manipulated.
I hope he's in a better place, but I don't know enough about the afterlife to trust in it, so while I'm here.
You think me too?
Though uncertain of the full motive, Summer is convinced the police are protecting something by controlling these cases. Determined to expose the truth, Terry suggests they track down Kinetics, the entity behind the scheme, and uncover what the police are desperately trying to hide. With their plan set, the duo prepares to hit the road, ready to hunt down the corruption running deep in Shelby Springs. Later that night, Terry and Summer visit Elliot at his cluttered home to get answers about the police's motives. Initially, Elliot refuses to cooperate, but Summer's frustration boils over, and she calls him unhelpful. This prompts Elliot to ask what she's discovered. She reveals a bail record from 2 years ago, which sparks his curiosity. Summer suggests the civil settlement case might be pressuring the cops.
You got no answers from me. I can be named an accessory. I don't report you the minute you leave.
Elliot acknowledges this as a key question and leaves. Afterward, Terry and Summer track down Judge, who cracks under pressure and reveals a sinister scheme. Chief Byrne devised a plan to fund the department through forfeiture and bail scams, using seized money to fund town services. Judge signs off to avoid scrutiny, and incriminating footage on an SD card is stored in the courthouse's catacombs. Terry and Summer leave with a map, aware the evidence could bring down the system, but also put them in danger. The luxurious setting highlights the town's hypocrisy, because in this town, even the champagne has a criminal record. They sneak into the courthouse basement, a damp maze of filing cabinets and flickering lights. They locate the SD card archive, labeled by date and case, including Mike's arrest. The footage could prove systemic abuse, showing fabricated charges and excessive force. As they gather cards, alarms blare. Police, tipped off, arrive and start a fire to destroy the evidence. Terry grabs a bag of cards, but Summer, desperate to destroy her tainted urine sample upstairs, gets separated. Smoke chokes the air as Terry escapes through a ventilation shaft, clutching the evidence. Summer, caught by Land's men, fights back, but is overpowered. The basement's claustrophobic chaos mirrors the town's suffocating corruption, with Terry's escape a fleeting victory overshadowed by Summer's capture. However, he tracks one of the police. Gets him handcuffed and uses him to get through to Lan on the phone. Holed up in an abandoned barn, Terry contacts Lan via a burner phone, proposing a trade. The SD cards for Summer's safe release at sunrise on Rebel Ridge, a remote hill. Lan agrees, his voice dripping with deceit, promising Summer's safety. Terry knows it's a trap, but uses the deal to buy time. While most officers head to Rebel Ridge, Terry executes his real plan, a solo assault on the station. He rams the entrance with Liu's truck, breaching the armory. Using non-lethal rounds, an MCMAP, he subdues Byrne and 2 guards, targeting pressure points to inflict pain without death. "This is for Mike," he growls, zip-tying Byrne to a chair. He grabs more evidence, ledgers detailing seized funds, and additional non-lethal weapons. The station's sterile chaos, with overturned desks and flickering monitors, reflects the department's unraveling. Terry's raid is surgical, his marine training evident in every move, but he knows time is short. He leaves Byrne humiliated. Later, Terry hands the SD cards to Jessica for safekeeping, trusting her apparent empathy. But Jessica radios Lan. Surrounded by officers, Terry faces execution. Lan reveals he's injected Summer with a near-lethal dose of heroin and left her to die in a cruiser. As Byrne prepares to shoot Terry, Officer Marston, the rookie from the opening, intervenes, revealing himself as Serpico, Summer's true informant, driven by guilt over the department's abuses. Byrne, enraged, shoots Marston in the leg, severing his femoral artery. The ridge, bathed in dawn's light, becomes a crucible of betrayal and redemption, with Marston's sacrifice exposing the depth of the corruption. Not long after, a chaotic showdown erupts. Terry, unleashed, uses his MCM-AP skills to disarm and restrain officers one by one, flipping Lan over his shoulder, stripping a deputy of his baton, and dodging gunfire with tactical rolls. His movements are a blur of precision, never killing but incapacitating with calculated force. Lan, enraged, charges Terry in a brutal fistfight, but Terry's training prevails. He locks in a chokehold and knocks him out cold. The lot, littered with police gear and overturned cruisers, becomes a battlefield of principle versus power. Terry's restraint, refusing to kill despite overwhelming odds, underscores his moral code, a sharp contrast to the department's brutality. From a distance, civilians gather, their whispers signaling the town's awakening. Marston, bleeding out, gasps instructions to Terry. Activate a cruiser's siren to trigger its dash cam, saving the last 3 minutes of footage. Burns' shooting of Marston and the entire showdown. Undeniable proof of corruption. Terry sprints to a cruiser and flips on the siren. The dash cam's red light blinks to life, recording everything. Marston's sacrifice, his face pale but resolute, cements his redemption. Terry drags him to safety, the footage now his strongest weapon against Burns' empire. The lot's chaos fades in Terry's mind as he focuses, knowing this evidence could change everything, honoring both Marston's bravery and Mike's memory. He finds Summer in a cruiser, barely conscious from the overdose. Following Marston's earlier guidance, he grabs Narcan from the cruiser's kit and administers it, her breathing slowly stabilizing. Summer's eyes flutter open, her strength returning as she grips his hand. Terry's quick thinking saves her, but the danger isn't over, since sirens grow louder and Burns' loyalists closing in. Terry loads Summer and Marston into the cruiser and speeds toward the hospital. Burn, freed by loyal deputies, takes the lead in the chase, ordering a pit maneuver to ram them off the road. The highway, flanked by pine trees, becomes a deadly gauntlet, with Terry's evasive driving keeping them barely ahead. Burns' voice crackles over the radio, threatening to bury them. Sims, driving in a pursuing cruiser, wrestles with her loyalty. In a pivotal moment, she turns against Burn, executing the pilot on his car instead, sending it spinning into a ditch. With Burn detained, the remaining officers, led by Sims, form an escort around Terry's cruiser, a silent acknowledgement of their complicity and Marston's sacrifice. They radio state police, who are en route to investigate. The convoy, winding through Shelby Springs' quiet streets, marks a shift. The town's corrupt isolation is breaking. Terry drives, Summer stabilizing in the back, Marston's weak pulse, a constant reminder of time's urgency. The escort, once a symbol of oppression, now shields their flight to safety, a fragile step toward justice. At the hospital, medics rush Summer and Marston into surgery. Terry, bloodied and exhausted, slumps in the waiting room, clutching the dashcam SD card. The end. Thank you for sticking to the end of my video. Please do me the biggest favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.